Welcome everyone to the Spiritual Forum. I'm so glad you're here. As you know, this podcast is a message of hope and inspiration and awakening. Today we're going to be talking a lot about awakening and hopefully also some hope and inspiration. I appreciate everybody who listens all the time. I appreciate your sharing with your friends. I appreciate ratings and review. And if you want to subscribe to my newsletter that I put out once a week, you can go to thespiritualforum.org and sign up for my newsletter. Let me introduce my guest today. Elizabeth Monroy is an international author, filmmaker, and visionary artist. Skilled in a number of alternative healing modalities, she holds a master's degree in mental health counseling and has worked many years as an intuitive life coach. Elizabeth founded the New Consciousness Renaissance School in Florence, Italy, for the creation of conscious media. She's an ascension guide for awakening humans and co-creators of the new 5D Earth, and she's recently published the book, The Infinite Human. Elizabeth currently travels between Italy and the USA, offering infinite human retreats. So before I get further into that, I just want to say welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
And you're coming to us today from the Yucatan.
The Yucatan, Quintana Roo, near Tulum.
Very nice. I've never been there, but
Yeah.
I'm imagine it's beautiful. I'm sitting here in a gloomy Wisconsin winter, a little jealous.
Well, it's amazing area. I got here the 1st of December, it was quite challenging. They have things called tope. They're like concrete speed bumps in the middle of nowhere. So I hit a lot of tope, literally and metaphorically. But I came here because it's an amazingly pristine place. There is not 5G here. There are not chemtrails. The food is real. And I've just been healing myself and rejuvenating so much since I've been here. I've been to Bacalar, which is an area where I know there's a lot of new earth communities forming. Sasha Stone is creating one there, and I had Christmas with him, and that was nice. And it's a water that comes actually from the inner earth, and it contains like the purest DNA blueprint. So I went swimming, and Kiki went swimming. She's here with me, my family. And afterwards, we were so tired because it just like revitalizes and upgrades your body. But you really have to rest, and it takes a lot out of you because you have to let go of all the old stuff and to acquire that new divine blueprint, which is now be available to us. So I'm buying some property here on the ocean, the beachfront, and
Wow.
and I'm going to create a really beautiful eco village. So like I was saying earlier, I wrote my book, The Infinite Human, during lockdown, and now it's time to practice what I preach, because the last chapter is about co-creating new earth, 5D communities and coming together, growing our own food, finding pristine places that we have actually set aside for ourselves. I think we set aside for ourselves for this time frame. So I just drove there. I didn't have any idea I was going to go out there. It's Maui. It's off the coast, not where I am. Like the Tulum area is kind of new agey, Tuluminatis, and they're into ayahuasca and stuff, which is not me. And so I was like, okay, now what? And I just kept getting signs to go out to this place, Maui, which is known for cruise ships. Cruise ships land there. And I got out. I was just driving, and I took the wrong road to the Airbnb, and I got out of the road at this property, and I just went, and I said, this is it. And I took a picture, and then I got back in, I forgot all about it. The next day, the day before Christmas, I just ran into this realtor on the road, and he was off to pick up his family, but he introduced me to his assistant, who was a Mayan woman, and she only spoke Spanish, which I speak, thank God. And she took me to all these properties, but she took me to the last one. She said, this is my favorite, and this is yours. And it was the property that I had just gotten out and taken a picture of. So,
Wow. A lot of serendipity there. So do you want to tell me what a 5D community is, or do you want to go into your story?
well, I guess, okay, so 5D. Yeah, let's talk about that, because I did a lot of videos in 5G or 5D.
I was going to say, we need to enunciate very clearly during this
Yeah.
podcast whether we're doing G or D.
And sometimes I mix them up. There's a huge, that's really the punchline of my book and my life is really are making a decision right now. So the 5G is a artificial intelligence, and I really stress that word artificial. It's a I go into great detail about all the research that I've done on it, which it was developed in the 1950s by DARPA, and DARPA also invented the internet and Siri and everything we're using now. And they also have had 5G around for a long, long time. And they've used it as a military application and has patent frequencies. And they can do all kinds of things with it. They learned how to use it on certain parts of the brain, because they mind mapped the brain during the World War II with a lot of the experiments that they did on the Jewish people to learn what parts of the brain activated anxiety, suicidal thoughts, passive behavior. And they also continued to work with it on the vets, the American vets who experienced trauma, and they said they were trying to cure them of trauma. But they learned how to make people very passive, very submissive, and basically I hook them up to a hive mind, that's just kind of completely overtake their natural brain algorithms, which is what's going on now with the push to get everyone on their cell phones, app for everything. And that's really what we're facing right now. People are having to choose. Now, I'm not saying technology is bad. We're using technology, but technology is to serve us, not for us to serve them. And there's a huge difference between the old technology that we had before the pandemic and what they installed everywhere on the planet, except where I am. Well, there's a few of them, but out in the jungle, no. And I am an energy empath. I'm what you call EHS sensitive, and that's electromagnetic hypersensitivity. And we're called the canaries in the coal mine because we feel it first. And I can feel a 5G tower right away. And they put them in Italy, and I got sick. But I've been dealing with it. And then when I came to America, I was so ill because they're everywhere. And they're not cell phone towers, they're military installations, these huge things. They're 2 miles apart.
Okay, I just want to pause for a second. Just pause for a second. So I want to make sure that because 5G, everyone thinks 5G is this frequency for our new cell phones and for our internet and for streaming and all that kind of stuff. So what you're saying is your research would say that 5G, the towers, that's just part of what they are, that there's something else to them.
They're a military weapon. And
that is messing with our biology.
Yes, they've been using it like for a long time in Iraq and Iran. They can disperse crowds with it. They can burst they can cause heart attacks. They can, sear eyeballs, flay skins, depending on the frequencies. They can kill bees. They actually now, with those towers everywhere in the SpaceX net that Elon Musk put up, they can steer through the devices. They can do it anywhere. I know it sounds like woo sci-fi.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know people would say, if I started talking this, people would say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, or where are you getting all that?
No, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy therapist. I'm here to help you deal with what's going on. And, I wrote about in the book, and I'm not going to go, that's just me. I just think it's worth reading or seeing the research that I did, because there's volumes and volumes of it. And I'm sorry, I just made a decision 2 years ago to just say it,
Yeah.
I have been on a spiritual path of spiritual teachers for all my life, and I always planted seeds. My husband was a physician. We traveled around, and we would always just give people so much, as they can handle, but it's way past that time, because life and death, the deaths that you're seeing on the planet now, the COVID deaths, are related to one, radiation sickness, and also the use of the military weapons. There's so many things they can do right now. Yes, there is a virus. It is a frequency virus. And if you don't think frequency can kill, just listen to an opera singer who, and they shatter a glass. Frequencies are the most powerful weapon on the planet, and the military knows how to use it, and they've been using it for a long time. And there is a depopulation agenda that has been signed by, the One World Order. This is all real old stuff to me. I'm kind of sick of talking about it, because it's like, get it, but move on. Okay. It's not, I know a lot of people are still just getting it, but you really have to know what's going on. And I think especially Americans, because America's like the worst, one of the most toxic places I've been in. And people are so ill, and they don't even know it. God bless them. They're wheeling around Walmart, because the food has been it's all artificial. It tastes horrible to people outside of the US. We cannot eat it. We get sick when we come to America. And then the chemtrails are ungodly, literally. And then the 5G installations are everywhere. I went back to my community that I grew up. My family has a 250-year-old log cabin home. It was the first, like one of the first homes in Kentucky. I think it's the second oldest home in Kentucky. It's huge. It has 6 fireplaces and another cabin on the side, a swimming pool, in Anchorage, a very wealthy community. And I just inherited it with my brothers. But, right by the school is a 5G tower. I'm like, and nobody can even see it. Nobody sees them. I'll point them out and they won't see them. So it's time to wake up, guys. I feel like the frog that jumped in the jacuzzi and said, this is not a jacuzzi, guys. You're being boiled or radiated alive.
Okay, so that's 5G. What is 5D?
Okay, so 5D, the reason they're offering 5G right now, with all this technology, the gumdrops of technology. Wow, my cell phone, I can do all this. I can talk to anyone. Where you can be, is because our true technology, the divine technology, not the artificial, but the divine technology, is coming online. And it's so exciting. This is what they're not telling you. This is the good news. The good news is we are in an ascension cycle, and it's really scientific. It's not just airy-fairy. It has a lot to do with the photonic belt and the cellular alignments and activations that are going on. It's been prophesized, hidden. It's been taken out of the prophecies, but like the Hopi prophecy rock, which is carved in stone, they couldn't hide that. But they talk about this time. They talk about 2 timelines. The timeline of the 2-hearted people that follow this timeline that is not real, artificial, get it? And they make technology their God, and it comes to an end abruptly. Then there's the real timeline, the time, which leads to, they call it the 5th direction, and it's of the 1-hearted people that respect all life forms. We're talking organic life forms, and that continues on into eternity. So those are the timelines, the 3D timeline, which is our old finite timeline, and the 5D timeline, which leads to back to true liberation. We've been cut off, that we're a fallen planet, guys.
Yeah, so like people who listen to this podcast know that I talk about my sense that there's 2 roads. There's this AI road, and that there's this sort of a back to nature, back to Eden kind of road. Would you say 5D has anything to do with the metaphor of Eden, where it's a place in consciousness, or actual physical reality where there is peace and harmony and connection and honoring of all beings and all species and everything, the earth?
Okay, so this is a fallen planet. I'm just going to give you some history, because the problem is nobody knows history because it's all been hidden. If we knew the history, we would know what is happening, but it's all been covered up. So this is a huge conspiracy, but it's the truth. So sorry. Okay. I think I used to do an esoteric Renaissance tour, and I would meet my tourists from all over the world: Russia, China, America, Guam, Italy, everything. And I would say, ask them one question: what do you think about the state of the world right now? And everyone agreed on one thing, whether conspiracy or not: it's messed up. Okay. Our
Hmm.
planet's messed up. This is not normal.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Divine architecture, God's true will. Everyone's like, where's God? Where's God? God the Father Almighty, not the real God. Okay. God is here, but we have actually been pulled out, ripped out from the higher harmonic universe, which we are now entering back in. We are back in, but we were pulled out, literally. And okay, this is real scientific because in the flat earth stuff, sorry guys, but that's there to discredit it. But we are a
Thank you for
globe.
that.
We are in a multiverse. The stars you see are skeletons. They're not just other planets, but they're other dimensions. It's infinite and vast. And yes, there are many factions of life forms. And when you look at a sun, it is a life form. Yeah, it doesn't have to be, walking and talking and carrying an iPhone to be an immense consciousness. Okay. Solar systems, star systems, galaxies are consciousness. They're incredibly intelligent, not artificial, but real intelligent beings. Now, we were ripped out of our mother universe and pulled into a dark universe to be preyed upon, because I define infinite as having an infinite direct connection to source. Finite as having severed their connection from the divine, right? And so they're like fruit, they're off the vine, they're rotting, they're decaying, they're anti-life, they're a death cult. And the only way they can get energy, because they don't feed from the source, is to parasite off of other people. Now, look at the structures we live in. Look at the banking structures, which is usury. Look at all these structures that are feeding off of other people. We're taught that's good business. It's good business. Buy low, sell high, but that's not what is referred to as the law of one. The law of one is respect for all life. It's unity consciousness. It's love. It's win-win for everything. It's honoring nature. Okay. And I'm here in the Mayan, before they got co-opted into blood sacrifices. That's not the true Mayan. It leads back to our true history, which is, okay, that's why they covered up Atlantis and Lemuria, the continents. Before they got pulled down, they followed the law of one. All right. So that's why everything's messed up right now. And that's where we're returning to. That's the 5D Earth Tara, which goes on to the 7D Earth Gaia. So you hear a lot about Gaia, but we have to get back to Tara, where we were pulled out of, that correct organic timeline to continue our evolution onto Gaia and, onward.
Okay, so I mean, I can definitely pull out spiritual truths that I can identify with what you're talking about, the law of one, oneness consciousness, the source, our return to source, the truth of our being, I believe, is we're divine in nature, and we have no idea how powerful we are. It's been tamped down. I don't know all the whys, and I don't know all the hows. Now, you have described history. I don't know where all that comes from. I don't know what is real and what is not, but I do completely identify with the idea that we are in a fallen state and that there is a return to the divine that we are in the process of doing. So I don't know about Atlantis and Lemuria. I don't know about all that. I don't know where all that comes from. I'm not saying it's not true, but I do think that if anybody is listening like me and isn't really aware of all that, true or not, that the the fundamental truth is the fallen state. The fundamental truth that we know of is that we are being called back within our souls, I think, to reunite or to come back to this law of one, or the divine. And I guess that's what you call 5D or five dimension, but that what we are in is some sort of a control matrix, some sort of a I don't know who the they is who pulled us down, but do you know who the they is who pulled us down?
Okay, well, basically, let me just recap. All you need to know is, well, you got it. Okay, you got it. The rest is just,
Right, right. That's what I wanted to say, because I don't want people to get
exactly.
stuck on, I don't get people stuck on, wait a minute, what's that? What's that? That we just focus on these fundamentals that everyone can latch on to.
I mean, I'm a writer. I love to research, so I go really, really, really deep into it because I want to know, because it's right in my face. But let me go back to what you said. Yes, we are divine angelic. In fact, we were created to be the guardians of this time matrix, okay? And we are 12 strands, not 2 or 3 or whatever, and when you have that last strand, then you can completely connect to source. And the God, we've been like a Rubik cube, we've been pulled down and then disconnected from the God source worlds. So now we have been restored them. So we just have to restore ourselves in our minds. So that's why, I mean, if you need to know more detail about it, my journey was always been totally intuitive with my twin soul, Peter, who was a OBGYN physician, and his family was from the Canary Islands. So we went there and stayed for a long time, and I just saw all the Atlantis right in front of me. I mean, if you travel the world, they try to hide it, but you can't. There's people who were stranded there. Actually, Peter's father comes from a line of people called the Guanchi, tall white people who just appeared out of nowhere on this mountaintop that juts out of the ocean. And when I was snorkeling, I saw this road going down the mountainside. I'm like, what is a road going down a mountainside for? And then where I live also in Sicily, the same thing. They're the Elysiums, a tribe, but they don't know where they came from. There's all these people that are not indigenous to the area that obviously fled. And same with Lemuria. We lived in Guam, and that was the mountaintop of Lemuria. And they had myths and legends. The people, I heard them out of their mouths, not on Wikipedia, about, how God promised they would never be destroyed again. Because I said, there's a rainbow. And they said the rainbow is God's promise that our planet will not be destroyed again. And they're trying to do it. So who's they, right? All right, that's a good question. I'm just going to go really intellectual and very high. Okay, because really there's as many insects and animals and people that you see on this planet, they have parent races. So just like you see in Star Trek, there's people with all kinds of shapes and sizes. I go through this in the book, but I do it really gently.
You can be gentle here.
Yeah, because it's a mind control world, like aliens. Well, come on, guys, we're aliens. We came from higher God source worlds, okay? And we are angelic. There are fallen angelics too. And a lot of the angelics that you're praying to are fallen angelics. Okay, so they're fallen angelics. In the Bible, they're called, the fallen angelics, the demons, they call them jinn in the Muslim faith. They call them archons. Archons. I'm sure you've heard of that. The archons, the demiurge. They've been recorded, but hidden. Every time they write it down, they hide it. But there's records of a group of people. But I'm going to go a lot higher than that, because right now all the conspiracy theorists are saying, oh, the draconians, the reptilians are so bad, they're blah blah blah. Yeah, they're reptilians, but guess what? There's a lot more than that. There's also another faction of fallen angelics, and what they're trying to do is, through artificial technology, manipulate our whole time matrix into their fallen parallel universes so they can feed off of us. So a lot of these people who are anti all the wars on the planet have been through these two external parallel universes, orchestrated using us like chess pieces. I love this. There's this one oldie, I love oldies, about, I think, Sir Laurence Olivier plays Zeus, and they play chessboards with the humans. I don't know if you ever saw that. But literally, we've just been used and abused and played, and for so many times in a artificial time matrix. That's been the prison.
Yeah, no, I do see that. I do see that we are chess pieces on a chessboard. I do see that there is some sort of a matrix or cage or something that we are a structure, whether it's a mental structure or a physical structure, I don't know, but there's some structure that we are kind of imprisoned in. I do see that. I have awakened to that. And once you see it, for everybody out there who's listening, who goes, I don't know what these people are talking about. Once you see it, you really don't unsee it. And now suddenly your reality is just very different, and you see it everywhere. It becomes very clear. And I think it's kind of like an animal who's in a cage, and maybe the cage is big enough, and so they can wander around, and they've got food and they've got mates, and we have our food, we have our mates, vacations, we got our Netflix, we got all this, and we're very, very focused on the things that we want to just live, how we want to live our life, and not seeing that there is some structure that is keeping that is keeping us much smaller than we really are. Now, I used to think that this is just our own personal choice, that we are all free beings and that we are choosing to be disconnected from source or not. I do think that there is also some of that, but there is something else going on in the outer world, I think, that has that has us in kind of a confined place. Once you see it, then it's like, okay, now we want to create ourselves out of it, right? So you talk about that there's this, what we're in is this the structure, what I call the matrix, or that's kind of 3D, but there's this other parallel timeline going on called the 5D, and that what we want to do is get on that train. Is that right?
Okay. Well, yeah. Good.
I'm trying to do layman's terms.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. But okay, so what a lot of people don't know now, I'm you're talking to really high level disclosure stuff, but what people don't know is that basically in 2017, the guardian races that love us, that actually many of us are them. We came here incarnated to help out. So I know I'm from the guardian race, and these are like 47 density, like really non-corporeal. We're talking non-corporeal beings who just loved so much the human. And it's not just our planet. We're talking about a lot of other star systems that fell. Okay, the whole Milky Way galaxy, it's been a fallen one. It was severed from Andromeda. So we're all, that's huge, the story. And what they had to do was let it fall so low that they activated a fail-safe program 2017. So it's actually returning organically within the earth. We have immense crystalline structures that are actually entities, very powerful entities that are helping this to the earth. That's why I say biosync to the organic life is so important. That's why I'm here, because the earth is ascending. It's a done deal. That's the good news. Earth is restoring back to its original integrity before it was, splattered everywhere, to Tara and then on to Gaia. It's on that. That's the 5D timeline. I call it the 5D. It's kind of popular, but it's also the 7D. It's the return home. And spaceship Earth's going home. Now, the choice that everyone has free will. So everyone doesn't have to. But it's going to get really difficult for people that try to hold on to the old, and everyone's feeling that now. Everyone, even if you're just listening to my voice, trying to do things in relationships that aren't working out, in the money system in America is really getting horrible, because it's on the old timeline. Anything, it's like that Hopi prophecy, anything that's on the old timeline is just going to not be there anymore. The digital currencies, that's all artificial. And the AI has been giving us these gumdrops of AI and trying to sell us the bad copy. So we put our consciousness into their artificial, juxtaposed external. They've conquered the surface of the world, but the inside is going to slough it off like a scab. So you want to make sure where your consciousness is not being sloughed off into a fallen universe, or you're tuning in, which is why I am out here creating an echo community, because I'm a gringa. I was like, no AC, no air conditioning, no internet. But after I did it, I started feeling much healthier. I started healing. I started tuning into I call it my organic chip to the infinite, not the microchip to the finite the net, and those are the two choices.
Yeah, I think that to live, I think probably have to leave Wisconsin to go without heat. I think about certain places. Maybe we're all supposed to live in the tropics.
Well, what I wanted to do, what I've been guided to do, is to create a place where at least people can come, even if it's just for a week or so. Because
Mhm.
with Americans, I know I'm American, you get so acclimated, your body actually is transhumanizing into an artificial thing because you can eat this kind of food and live in that. You have to adapt, but the adapting is lowering it's not allowing you to be all that you can be, accrue
Mhm.
that DNA, make those connections. So I think I want to create a space where people can come and just feel, oh my God. As soon as I drove out in the jungle, it's like my cells went, oh, thank you. It's like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
have to put Sujite on and take clinopeptic zeolite and sit in an infrared sauna for an hour. That's how I survived in America for the 3 months I was there. So,
So
we
you're feeling your cells are feeling restored back to like the natural, and I don't think we really know what that feels like generally. We are,
we don't,
yeah,
because it's like living in literally a shit storm,
yeah.
and we've gotten really good at adapting, all these new supplements. I mean, most people don't take, like, I take a handful, supplements every day, or do all this, what do you call it? Shield and healed, this protective lifestyle. And you have to go to a health food store. It doesn't even have fresh produce in it. Most of them. I mean, I live in all the health food stores, and I was living on the fresh pressed green juice just to get something real in my body. But even if it's organic, it's been trucked across the country. I mean, that's not right, guys. Here, the mangoes, the papayas just fall off the trees. They're everywhere. And
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I come back to Eden. I know you may or may not follow that
eating, yeah,
theology,
of
but
course.
Eden is in Eden, it was the food was you just pull fruit off the trees. That's the fruit that was given to humanity.
The real
This is
Eden, the real
yeah,
Eden,
yeah.
not yeah, not the cloning Edens, because they've done everything here. But yes, that was Lemuria and Atlantis, the golden age before the fall. But we've been repeating the fall over and over and over. Every time we get to an ascension, they would trick us, what they tried to do with the pandemic, into a fear, into choosing, the AI, the safety, staying in the familiar. But this is the last cycle. We're going home. We're on a sail face.
Okay,
Earth.
okay. I want to hold that thought for a second because what comes to me is in the movie The Matrix, when I don't know if you've seen those movies. There's I think
Oh,
four
yeah.
of them or five. I
I
can't
don't
remember,
know.
but anyway, Neo comes back to the architect, or he finds the architect. Like, I finally found the architect. I'm going to find out about, the keys to what's going on. And he realizes he's been there like 9 times before, and that's the key. It's like they've all reset. They've recycled back over again, restarted, and then now here he is because he makes the same choice over and over again. He is given a choice of two options. One is to save his true love, and the other is to save humanity. And he makes the same choice every time, except for the last time. So it just reminds me of that. If we're at this choice between what you call AI, which is the copy, the artificial world that we're being lured into or enticed into, is one choice, and then the other choice is what you call 5D, but it could be called something else too. It's just probably more of our
There's actually a fifth dimension. We've been living, the fourth dimension has been the astral, and that's all we've had as our spiritual, and it's been capped off, it's been controlled, it's been contrived, it's been a world of illusion. That's why we've been reincarnating. I don't like to use the word reincarnate, because as you ascend, you realize they're like, it's more like MK Ultra mind control, where you have these other identities and you clear the trauma of them, because we've all been raped and burnt and pillaged, and horrible things have been done to us. So it's very difficult. Many people are having terrible anxiety. Young people are having suicidal thoughts, but that's because they're starting to clear away, and you have to feel to heal, which is why, for me, I wrote the book, or why I say people, you need to know what's going on, because you have to face that, because it's your shadow. It is the journey of the hero. Hands down, you have to go through that innermost cave, face all these horrible memories that you have, because they're your shadow selves, and then feel it and heal it, and then you're free. That's how you free yourself. You have to go through it. No way.
So are you saying that's what the fourth dimension is?
Yeah, we've only been able to, it's been closed. It's been architecturally closed. The architecture has shifted into, and I know everyone loves sacred geometry, the flower of life, the tree of life, but it's actually fallen geometrics, the tree of death, the daisy of death. And if you look at the true architecture, there's a crystalla that leaves a whole different type of spiral, not the Fibonacci spiral that diminishes you away from source, but the true crystal spiral that leads you back to source. That architecture has now been restored. It's being restored. A lot of people are doing grid work, constantly. I have my jobs. Those of us that once you wake up, you have a lot of work to do.
So I have to ask you, I have to ask you where all this comes from because I mean, like Christians have their belief based on the Bible, or and we could debate whether or not that's true or not, but that's the Judeo-Christian world. The Bible is their source, and that's where their structures of reality kind of come from. So everything you're talking about the 3D, 4D, 5D, and all the multiple Ds and Lemuria and Atlantis and all of that. Um, and the fallen earth, all of it. What is the source material for that?
Okay, it's called the Emerald Records. It's not the Emerald Tablet. That was co-opted, okay, by Thoth, Lucifer, and Inky, whatever the entities you want to call it. It's kind of a fallen faction of angelics. But the Emerald Records is really what the Bible was based on before it was hijacked, okay? The Emerald Records is stored within our DNA. So as you ascend and accrue more of your genetic material, which is 12 strands, you begin to remember this. It's stored inside
Okay.
of your DNA. But because we didn't have it, it's been stored in all over the planet. That's what Yeshua 12, which is what we think of Christ, that's part of his job, was to restore that. That's what he was doing. That's what the Essenes were doing, the Cathars were doing. But everyone who ever touches it has been murdered, and those records have been stolen by I'll just call them fallen angelics, okay? The
Okay.
fallen angelics. And what they did, because they want to keep parasiting, they get a lot from us. They get every, they need us. We don't need them. They need us, right? It's like narcissistic relationship where they keep you thinking you've done something wrong. Oh God, forgive me. And because they need you. So what they did was they took the codes, the truth frequency, I'll call it, from that, and that's in the Bible. That's why everyone, I call it, I start my book, I say, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was, of God, was God. So it was the vibrational frequency of God. That's how
Hmm.
I see it. And I say, we're all stories in the mind of the divine storyteller, God. And the further you stray away from the word or frequency of God, the more your life starts to unravel, the more you have that. And the more
Completely agree.
you can, totally attune yourself to that frequency, then it's 5D, or it's beautiful. It's smooth sailing. So what he did, what they did was they took all that beautiful frequency. So it had so much truth in it, but they turned it into save me, give your power to something outside of you. Jesus saves. And then the crucifixion was I mean, there was a Christ that was crucified. There was three, but anyway, that's another story. He was kind of a scapegoat, but that was to crucify our inner Christ. We're not supposed to crucify our inner Christ. We're supposed to become our inner Christ. We're all Christ, and there were Christ, yes, but he was saying, this is how role model.
So are you saying that as you raise your consciousness to a certain level, that this the source material, the Emerald Records, is kind of downloaded, that this is a download that you've received?
Exactly.
Okay,
You would see it as a download, but really you're kind of uploading into it because it's
I
always
get
been
that. Yeah, I
there.
mean,
You've been cut off, for many ways. I mean, the things they've done to us are
okay.
incredible.
So you've received this information, or you've replugged into this information, or this information is now a part of your DNA because you've opened yourself up to some some level that now you can.
Well, it's like the internet. You go in and out of it. When I was in Sicily, I was getting great cosmic downloads, which I wrote into my book. And some of the stuff I was like, "Are you sure? Do you want me to write this?" And like, yes, write it. And now it's making sense to me. But when I got back to the States, I was like, "I'm offline." I mean, there's so much obstruction there. And I started to get it back, but I was like, I'm a blind person because they say that in the world of the blind, the one-eyed queen
Yeah.
is queen. I navigate with my third eye, but I was blind. And then now that's one of the reasons I'm here. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, I might not be online with the internet, but I'm online. So I understand. It's just wonderful because I don't know everything. Of course, it's always a
Okay.
process.
Okay. I hear you. So I want to focus we probably have 7 minutes or so. I want to focus this time on what do we do to release the hold that either we have or 3D reality has on us. What do we do? What is your message to people to go decouple ourselves from the 3D reality and to get on the 5D timeline?
Well, okay, it's really going to get harder and harder and harder to stay in the old. So my message for 2023 is the timelines are separating this year. So you really want to position yourself on the 5D where it's easy. But now you're going to have everyone that's listening to me is probably having a lot of problems, illness and things are coming up. There's going to be, and I have it too. There's a trigger. Like I always get triggered when they won't put Kiki, my service dog, on the flight, even though I booked her everything. But you're going to have to, like you said, Neo, you have to make a different choice. You can't feel like a victim. You can't keep doing the same old thing, sacrificing yourself for others. I got this sacrificial thing at Chichen Itza where they used to carve the hearts out of the people. And we've all done that. You have to stop letting your heart be carved out or carving out someone else's rescuer, persecutor, victim. You have to stop it. You have to look at your shadow self, feel it. If you're feeling something, pain. I had a bladder infection the other night, and I was like, what is that really about? And it was all the trauma I had experienced in many lifetimes being, high genetic females we were constantly being raped, like the Sabine women, taking from our twin souls. And, it's trauma that women carry. We have a lot of trauma, the women do, because the divine feminine was so snuffed out. So you have to feel it. You have to go through it, release it, and change course every day. Change your course to the higher peaceful timeline. But you have to feel it. You can't I'm all love and light. That's, astral bliss. You have to.
We've talked about that. And I have a lot of guests that come on and talk about sun shining or spiritual bypass. This, it's all good. It's all good. And that is an enticing path. And it is also a imitation path. It's
Not
not.
going to work in 2023. Not going to work anymore.
So do you feel like that things are going to happen in the world that will kind of force this choice? Like I think people are awakening at different levels, and some people are very, very asleep. Some people are waking up. Some people are wide awake. But sometimes it takes really getting pressed against the wall before you turn around and go, you know what, there's another option for me. And sometimes you have to bring so much pain and suffering and trauma onto you in order to go, I'm done with this and I want to see something else. So do you think that that's what 2023 is going to be, that we're going to be going through some difficulty so that many of us are kind of like forced to wake up?
Yes. Okay, 2023 is going to be horrendous.
Happy New Year, everyone.
It is, but well, not for everyone, because I did that. I'm so hard-headed. I had to, and I wrote about it in my book, just what I had to go through, horrible stuff. But it just, it proofs you, it makes you like ready for the good stuff. And now I'm like, I still have my moments, but I'm like gliding. I'm wealthy. I'm healthy. I'm meeting my tribe people. I'm meeting people. I got here and I can't believe it. The internet's called infinitum. The car I'm renting from is called Infinity. And and I went to Playa del Carmen, and the real estate place is called Infinito. So I'm no, so there's gonna be two things happening. Those of us who've done the work, who have awakened, who have worked on our shadow, are gonna just dovetail into this beautiful, where fairy tales do come true. We're going to experience what we've wanted, true abundance, not just digital currency or money in the bank, but good food. We're going to be led to places that are where we're going to meet our tribe. I talked about in the last chapter where we're eating beautiful food, where the skies are not cloudy all day. We're going to just be ready to say yes. And those who have been hanging on, refusing to wake up, they're going to get boom, boom. It's the pounding's, it's going to be a good thing, though. The pounding's going to be so hard, they can no longer close their eyes to it. And that's good, because you don't want to fall into a fallen universe. That's really, that's the last choice. It's like the Goodyear blimp. Those who jump off early, those who jump off 3 people, and then the ones who hang on and they fall to their death. You don't want to be the hanger on. So,
And do you believe that there are those who fall to their death, or that ultimately there's some other cycle or redemption cycle for them?
well, okay, so yes, there's always, everyone returns to source.
That's what I was thinking. It's like we're all going home.
But there is supposedly one way, as we who are ascending return, we gain memory. We come together with our true other half, which is our twin souls. We come together with our true star family, which is our monadic beings. We remember who we are. We recover all our memories. We become more and more of what we are. We're like, oh my God, I can't believe I was in that little tiny box for so long of who I thought I was, that consciousness. But then if you get too much reverse polarities in your system, which means you cannot ascend and accrue the DNA, and your DNA has been so corrupted. There is a philosophy where you actually, the only way you can return is you've fallen so far, and there are angelics who have fallen so far that they return as space dust, which is like dust, they don't
Okay.
have it. So I just say that it's not fire and brimstone, but
It sounds a little bit like that.
yeah, but I do think you need to make wise choices. You can't just you've been doing this for about 250 million years, most people.
Yeah.
So it's time to, really, why not?
Okay. All right. Yeah. So sounds like, in a nutshell, that 2023 is likely to be a rough go for lots of people, but
Your choices. No, choose
yeah,
wisely. It's
but
like
choose wisely.
choose
Yeah.
wisely. Choose life, not death. Be aware, though, because people that are getting those whatever, that's not about life. That's about death. People who are like totally online all the time and having their brain taken over by their cell phone algorithms, that's death. That's not life.
Yeah.
Going out and being in nature. It's really simple. Choose life. Live is backwards. The reverse is evil. Okay, so you want to choose to live this year. Live, embrace, love. Get out of your cubicle and, go on an adventure.
That's fabulous. And I think that's the note we want to end on. The choose life, choose love, choose God, choose the divine. Every time we turn our energy that way, or make our choices that way, everything expands. And so I'm looking at 2023 as it's going to be a ride. Buckle up.
Cool.
We're
Yeah.
all on this ride together, and we're
Well,
also on
I
an
think it's going to
individual
be
ride.
great. I am so
Yeah.
excited. I've been waiting
There
for
you go.
this for millions of years. So I'm like having the time of my life. But I've done a lot of work,
Right.
that's what writing my book was about. It was for me and my own journey. It was all my own journey with my own, how I came to disclosure. So you know,
And Elizabeth, we'll have I'll put a link to your book and anything else, your webpage, your school in
but
Florence,
yeah,
whatever
well,
whatever you have on the
I would like
webpage.
people to know that www.infinitehuman.com. There's so much stuff on there, blog posts, all free. You know, I have a YouTube channel where I just do inspirational videos. It's all free. I'm not trying to sell stuff. I'm wealthy. I don't need to.
That's
So,
wonderful. Yeah.
but I want, okay. One of the things, the only thing I do is I do soul missions. You know, that's the only thing. I've been to all these psychic fairs, and that's the only thing I do because you are a divine piece of the puzzle. So as you ascend, you're going to do incredible things. And I can't wait to be, you know, my piece of the puzzle and your piece of the puzzle. I'm not talking about sex, but, you know, we're coming together and we're creating this whole new earth, this amazing earth. And I can't wait for all of you guys to wake up and step into your soul mission, because it's no longer guru, me teaching you. We're all creating a new consciousness here, redefining consciousness and grounding it into a new earth. And it's going to be so great, you know? So.
I agree. The divine human does not need experts and government officials and everybody telling us what to do. Teachers, our divinity, who we are, our nature. We know how to be.
Yeah.
We know how to be. And I'm with you. This is exciting.
You don't have to buy it, you know, you just become it. It's nice to get
Right.
inspired once in a while, listen to a YouTube video, read a book or whatever, or just watch a sunset, because you want to be in that higher frequency. But
Right.
spiritual consumerism is not what I'm about.
Sounds great. And I'll put this all on the webpage and it'll be on the YouTube channel and everything. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining me today. This is a very, very interesting conversation. And bless you in your work, and you're creating your community down in the Yucatan. That's very, very exciting. So I look forward to hearing more about that.
Amazing stuff happening here, you know. I just one more thing though. These communities are actually on in the future. It's like Back to the Future. So when we are drawn to an area, we are remembering our future, and all we're doing is dovetailing into that timeline. So it's going to be easy. And this area is so much is happening here. It's going to be a mecca for healing and for intergalactic exchange. So it's interesting stuff.
All right, great. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And I now close the Spiritual Forum.